a hair day today that I just like.
I have a bad hair day.
Mine's just that I didn't have time, so the hat stays on.
The hat stays on. I couldn't get a hat. We should get hats.
I was in a rush. I mean, that's why I'm wearing glasses too. Like, this is not usual Micah, but I was just like, sit down and get started.
Hide in as many layers.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm gonna like wear my ski helmet and the goggles next time.
I'm shielding today, it seems.
I get you.
Don't blame you.
All right, we are recording. I mean, we're live, but I haven't tweeted yet. So,
okay, if you tweet, I will retweet.
Okay,
I'm with that.
I'm gonna treat.
Take that.
Treat. Actually, if you could share the YouTube link with us, that would be great.
Yep.
Oh, Micah's gonna pop out them comments like
so I can pop out those chats.
Oh yeah, that's right.
When the comments want to get with you, you pop them like the hat. Pop them like the hat. Come on, I'm really Snoop Dogg here, am I?
I mean, I know the reference you were making, yes, but
you were just not entertained by it.
I was sphinxing, is all.
Yeah, like Micah was like, I understand the reference that you were making,
I just
Renee,
do not like it.
but it was not that funny, and I was not about to laugh, but I did understand it. Now can we get back to doing things that are professional? Thank you.
I support you, but not with laughter.
He took his professional voice there, the interview voice. He was not amused.
I see what you're doing.
Not amused.
There's got to be an easier way for me to find the mother flipping
the mother trucker.
The mother trucking.
There are comments on this mother trucking video, and you can't do a goddamn thing.
You guys sound like what we did when we were little kids trying to get away with cussing. On part, it's just I said truck, and your mom was like, "You better not say that again." You're like, "I didn't say anything." All right, I just tweeted from the iMore, which I probably did wrong, so I apologize if I forgot to put a new one up. Micah, Renee, Georgia, and me. Okay. I put Micah first this time since I forgot it one time.
That's funny. Open pop-out chat. Why won't you just...
Why won't you pop?
Yay! Oh, that's so good. There's now a right-click... You know how sometimes they'll have those windows that don't have a URL? They're literally just like pop-up windows. Well, you can right-click on the header dealie and choose copy website address. And I really like that. That's handy. So here is... Me too. The link to the... chat.
I also approve of Lori's chapeau.
I do like that.
A what?
Your hat, your chapeau.
A hat is
chapeau. What do you call me?
French.
It's actually a beret.
Yeah.
Oh, it's truly French.
It's jaunty.
Yeah. Beret.
But I think it just looks better, like kind of as a slouch.
If you are painting,
yes,
it is better on the side. And someone on the side that we worry that it might fall down.
The entire show, we're just watching for it to fall.
Yeah,
that's kind of fun. My anxiety.
I know. That's what Georgia does to people.
Oh, did I do another observe?
Yes. You did another like. Oh, how funny, Renee. That would be fun, Renee.
Yes, today I am Vulcan Micah. I'm sorry.
I like it. It's entertaining to me.
The show has not yet begun, and Micah Spock is already beating the crap out of me.
I like Micah's like condescension of like, okay, can we? The day is too long.
He's like giving me that one eyebrow. Can you not?
And Renee and I are together in the same room. It's going to be bad.
I'm super happy, folks. Tomorrow, I get to go to the airport and pick up my partner after he's been in Australia for 4 months.
My God.
Wow, so 4 months. So that's why you're salty, is you're just like waiting for the time
Today
to
is
go by.
So long.
And you're like, today's taking forever. Can we get this podcast done? He's not gonna
know how to live right side up anymore.
That's he's 16 hours difference. So
you'll be walking on the ceiling. The toilet will be flushing the wrong direction.
I was gonna do the toilet one. Yeah, stole that one.
Yeah. That was really funny, Renee.
All right, let's get this party started.
Hello, everyone in the chat who's joining us. We're having an interesting day today. We promise to have lots of conflict, but it'll be a good show. It'll be good. That's a very good show.
Gavin just got a new iPad Pro 11 inch. It's my fave. I got mine right here. By the way, Gavin, if you need a case for your iPad Pro,
that one looks hot.
Yeah, this is from 12 South, and it is their Oxford.
Oh, it's pretty.
It's very pretty.
It's very pretty.
Is it a book?
Nope, it's just the Oxford. Or I'm sorry, you know what? It's the Pad and Quill. Oh God, they're gonna hate me.
Yeah, I was gonna say
so sorry.
Like Pad and Quill product.
It's the Pad and Quill. Erase what I just said.
It's the Pad and Quill.
Oxford's not Brogues.
Yeah. It's nice.
Oh my God, that's a Starry reference right there.
Does it have? Thank you. Does it have a cutout for the camera?
It does. Yep. It's got a little cutout spot on the back for those people who. So Pad and Quill has this thing.
A little misplaced.
I know. Pad and Quill does this thing where you like there's like a sticky thing on the back where you tape things on. You can see right there.
Really?
And so that's my one kind of bummer about this is that there's no real easy way to like line it up properly. So obviously I did it a little bit wrong.
And is it sticky or is it microsuction? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's sticky and it comes off and on real easily. It doesn't leave behind residue or anything.
Microsuction is my favorite thing.
I don't know what microsuction is.
So microsuction.
Wait, should we do this on the show?
Are we on the show?
Yeah, we're doing it.
I thought the show started. Had it not started?
Yeah, it started, but I don't. Never mind.
Let's do the intro.
The wrong thing. Yeah, let me do the intro really quick. It is Friday, February 22nd, 2019. I'm Micah Sargent, and right now we are going to talk about Apple becoming a bank, the 6K Mac display, the right to repair, which would be an interesting discussion, and some other stuff, including possibly what the next iPhone should steal from the just announced Galaxy lineup. We've got so much to talk about, so let's get going, because this is the iMore Show. Joining us this week is the dynamic duo, recording from one location. It is both Georgia Dow and Renee Ritchie. Hello to the two of you.
Hello.
Hello.
I came and sought refuge here because they're doing the floors above me. And it's like,
that almost sounds like that sound where when you're getting like a call and you are next to unshielded speakers, and then the speakers like,
but louder and even more annoying.
Yeah, in fact,
really?
You said,
is that possible?
You said they're drilling. I think you meant to say they're drilling, but earlier I saw they're grilling. And so I was like, wow, he must.
They're drilling the floor and grilling my nerves.
Okay. I thought it was just, I really have to get away because I'm going to try to steal their steaks if I stay here.
I know. I was picturing like some hamburgers right above the floor of him. And he's like, man, they're grilling and I'm so hungry. I got to leave.
It's smoky in here. It smells good. We are also joined by the steadfast and true. It's Lori Gill. How you doing, Lori?
What up? What up?
We've commented on the hat. It's a very good hat you're wearing.
Thank
made
you.
For you by your mother. That's so sweet.
So yeah, my mother made this hat for me.
Oh, that's really nice.
I told her that I was going to London, and she made me a care package that had 3 hats in it, and a pair of wool socks and a scarf, and I wore all of them for the whole trip. I actually lost one of the hats.
Oh no!
But I had 2 more to spare, so it was okay.
No,
it's gonna be a movie. It's gonna be a story of Lori's hat in London. Is gonna come out on some small imprint next year.
Well, my hope is that some pub local found it and was like, "Oh, look at this great new hat that I'm going to wear."
Written by the Love Actually team, so it'll be great.
Oh, that does sound fun. Before the show had begun, we were talking about Lori's awesome Pad and Quill Oxford case for her her iPad Pro 11
It does
inch.
have a nice little spot for your Apple Pencil, by the way, which is very important to me to be able to keep your Apple Pencil on top. So
I like that little color, that little pop of color there.
That tiny, a little bit of orange, right?
Orange, got it.
Yeah.
And we were on the topic of microsuction pads. So there are kind of 2, it seems, modern ways of attachment or adhesive, and one is the sticky, usually made by 3M or another company, where the sticky stays longer but it doesn't stick to your device so hard that it kind of like rips off and leaves a mess. And then microsuction pads. I love microsuction pads. Essentially, they're like these foam pads but the chemical makeup of them allows them, it's almost like they're tiny little suction cups in each of the little holes in the pad. And so as you press down and release, it creates suction and can hold for a long period of time, but it doesn't leave residue afterward because it's like a bunch of little suction cups. So I don't know why. Like, I just kind of want to have micro suction pads embedded into my hands so I can use them there.
Spider-Man,
yeah.
Spider-Man.
That would be awesome.
Now, this isn't the same thing. This is not the same thing as those rubberized kind of things that you can put at the back of your phone and then you can put it in your car and it kind of sticks, but it's from rubbery kind of a polymer plastic.
Right.
Thing. This is different.
Yeah, it's different from that.
That also was really.
This is like the tentacle of the Kraken.
Okay, fair.
Yes.
That made it much clearer for me. So
that was a very good reference, Renee.
That was a funny joke, Renee.
Well, Georgia used to always say "unleash the Kraken," so I figured
I
know. So I figured she knew.
It's not like a.
I've never actually met a Kraken though. So I was really talking rhetorically. I'm sorry, I apologize. I was talking about
those little you like put a quarter in and you get the little hand, that gooey hand that sticks. Yes. It's not like that. So it's not rubberized.
That's the rubberized kind of thing. So this is like a foam.
Yeah, it's
and
like
you don't have to add water or anything to it. You just put your phone, like bare phone.
Well, it depends on what you're wanting to use it for. So one of the examples, I have this really cool, I don't think the company's around anymore, but I have this really cool stand that sits on my side table. And it's like a metallic and wood stand, and it has a spot for my Apple Watch and it has a spot for my phone. On the base of the device are 2 micro suction pads. And so you can press it down on any surface and it sort of, once you can feel it press down and then the air sort of gets expelled out of it. And when you let go, it sticks to whatever surface you put it on. But when you remove it, it doesn't leave residue. Residue? What is residue? Revenue when you have a cold. Residue. It doesn't leave residue on the surface because all it's using is just the, physics concept.
It sucks, but it's only micro suck.
It micro sucks. Which is Microsoft.
Now we know the difference between sticky tape and microsuction tape.
Yeah. And you can buy like a roll of it on Amazon.
And really?
Yeah. If you type in like microsuction.
We'll put a link to that in the show notes.
There we go. Yeah.
How good is the suction on this baby?
It's good. I would use it for the example that I gave, where if you want something to stay in one place, to not be jostled around. I wouldn't, try to
like a building with it like that.
No, I wouldn't put one on the back of my baby and then stick my baby to the wall while I walk away.
Oh, that escalated quickly.
Yeah, I know, that was dark. It was a little dark, Micah. But would you put it onto the wall and then be able to put your phone onto the wall flat?
I would argue yes. I think it's strong enough to do that. For sure.
Disclaimer. Yeah, it's not our fault if your phone drops.
You test it, but based on the way that I have to sort of like hold down my nightstand and rock back and forth to remove the thing a little bit.
Wow.
I would say that it's good enough for that. So there is, we will definitely put a link in the show notes. There are a few of them that I'm seeing here on. In fact, the example one of them gives is they're literally sticking their iPhone to a refrigerator, to a glass wall, to a glass door, etc.
It makes me think like the problem that I have with car mounts that you stick to the windshield is that when the temperature changes, the suction loosens. So like for me, every time in the summer and in the winter at the most extreme temperatures, I'll get in the car and the suction cup has fallen off. So this sounds like it's like a better suction. I like that idea.
I would argue that is the case because it's not and I guess that's going to depend too. I don't know what heat does to suction, because if it causes the air in each of the little bubbles to expand or contract would probably get stronger. But if it causes it to expand, then it might pop that bad boy right off of there. So again, please don't stick your baby to a wall. If it wasn't clear that was
.com.
Please don't stickyourbabytoawall.com is the site where I just have a YouTube video of myself
or your
explaining why
coffee
you
to a
shouldn't do that.
wall.com.
Maybe
I
the
love
coffee.
that.
Coffee might survive.
Here
Let's talk
is
about tech.
Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
I'm just popping in that link. And now
I like
we
Lori
can,
keeps us on track.
I know we're getting way off track.
when we
Not that
fly
that wasn't
our-
a super interesting thing to talk about, actually.
What's
Let's talk
Rosemary?
about Goldman Sachs and Apple collaborating on a credit card.
collaborate.
Renee, you kind of broke the, well, you first introduced me to the story about it, so you get to talk about it.
Yeah, so it's from the Wall Street Journal, which means you have to read through a whole bunch of iPhone is so beleaguered nonsense before you actually get to the story. And it basically, Goldman Sachs has started a bank and they want to have a credit card, and they're going to partner with Apple to have a credit card. Now, there's two sides to the story, and they really have different reactions. John Gruber, for instance, was appalled by the idea of a credit card because credit card business is gross. Like they really are bottom feeders. They have exorbitant interest rates, usurious, is that how you pronounce it? Usurious interest rates, and they make their money off people who can ill afford it. You know, it's like it's almost like the gambling business, but legalized. But the other side of it is that Apple's engineers want to do for financial services what they've been doing for fitness, and that is create like an interface that has rings, and it'll show you, like, incentivize you to pay off your balances and to do your savings and to like be more financially responsible. So I have really mixed feelings on this. I think that, yes, there is a risk if Apple gets into bed with big banking that they'll catch some horrible big banking disease. But on the other side, I also think that every risk is an opportunity. And just like Georgia, when we were talking about earlier, said, like, the music industry was horrible when Apple got involved, and just the cell phone industry and the phone industry was horrible. And there might be an opportunity for Apple to do something, especially if this is like the Motorola Rocker version of Apple credit card. It's like they're trying something out with an established player that nobody's going to like. But if it leads to Apple being more like American Express or partnering with American Express, and that is having a card that's not based on exorbitant interest rates, but is based on, Apple's got so much money they're not using, and it really is an international financial solution for a lot of people. And yeah, throw in, like, it makes it easier for them to do iPhone upgrade programs for not just iPhones, but like iPads and Macs. They could all do like 0% leasing or very low percentage leasing on all of those things. And I just think there's so much opportunity on there. I am cautious. There's lots of room for grotesquerie, but I think there's also a lot of hope for benefits that could come from it.
I think that the worry is the Goldman Sachs part. Like, I think if Apple was doing it alone,
or with American Express, even, I think that's an example of a credit card company that doesn't seem to be trying to leech off of our financial situation. And Georgia, what you're talking about, as soon as I saw that, my immediate first thought was Goldman Sachs was one of the largest companies to get a bailout from the U.S. when there was the banks are too big to fail bailout. And they participated actively and intentionally in the hedge fund, knowing that the mortgage crisis was in effect. Like there's evidence of them having like knowingly done this, which hedge funds are basically sort of like betting against the loss. So they knew that these mortgages would fail, and they bet against them so that they could make money off of people like you and me who couldn't afford our mortgage loan. This was a really big deal 10 or so years ago in the US with the mortgage crisis. It really like affected the entire country. So for me, like, the Goldman Sachs name is very tainted. So when I saw that Apple was teaming with them, I immediately was concerned with, or just kind of like, Goldman Sachs, huh? Was kind of the way it came to me.
A little side eye.
Yeah, I got a little side eye.
Well, because Apple is now doing business with like insurance companies. They're not known to being the greatest people either.
Absolutely.
Banks, exactly the same type of thing. If Apple did it alone, like it did with music, and it just kind of like leased out, or like the banks could be a third party to this, I wouldn't be as worried to that. It's that part of the element of it that you think, eventually you make really powerful partners. Powerful partners are demanding. Apple doesn't have as much autonomy on what their choices are to that. And then what happens? What happens to our privacy? What happens to the information of what we do with our phones? What are they going to do with that? And so that's the part to it. It's not really, I think that Apple could do a good job with banking. Like, I think that they could do it. I think it's a field that they're not in, but I understand why people are worried because, Yeah, they don't have a great reputation, and for very good reasons.
If it turns out that Apple is partnering with Goldman Sachs, and it's more along the lines of Goldman Sachs will have this sort of like Apple branded credit card, but Apple has nothing to do with that part of it. And all they're doing is supporting a service, which is to help you with your finances, and they're just sort of collaborating in that way. That makes more sense to me, because you can't jump into the credit card business. You can't just, I'm going to start a credit card business. It doesn't work that way. You have to partner with these major. You have to partner with these major banks in order to like make any kind of significant change. And being that Goldman Sachs is one of the biggest, Apple can kind of be very widespread in trying to help people with their finances. So, you know, like partnering with a company that has a sort of a negative history, but they're not actually going to become this like credit card service where Apple is raking in the percentage dough, but all Apple is doing is saying like, when you use this credit card, all this very detailed information is going to show up in the wallet app, or even a separate app that's going to help you with your finances. Like I use the Mint app for my sort of budgeting and finance and kind of paying attention to what I do. It's similar. It has a lot of like suggestions. It says like, you know, your credit card has this particular interest rate. You could try for a different credit card, which is probably where they make their money, is like through, you know, kind of sharing other credit cards and things like that. But it also has a lot of information about how much you spend each month on X, Y, and Z. And when you put in your suggested budget, it kind of provides some information on like, hey, you're kind of spending a little too much on entertainment. You said that you only wanted to spend X amount of dollars on that. And there's a lot of great finance apps out there that kind of give that same thing. So if Apple's kind of trying to do that, but have it just embedded into the iPhone so that you don't have to, you know, download and use a separate app and get, you know, because you have to give your banking information to these like third-party finance companies, which does feel a little uncomfortable. So you have to make sure that you trust them. But you know, if you were doing it with Apple in collaboration with Goldman Sachs, you probably wouldn't even have to put any like too much detailed personal information. It's your bank specifically, and then Apple is just kind of like sharing some helpful suggestions for taking care of your finances. Like it could be.
It would be different between collaboration and partnering, though.
Yes.
Right? Collaboration, I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound too bad. Partnering, I'm like,
I agree. So Apple already does kind of work with some other banks. Citizens Bank is the one who handled my iPhone upgrade program loan dealie.
They work with Barclays.
Barclays has an Apple card, and a few others. I like the idea of Apple maybe just using one bank to sort of handle all of that stuff if they want to, but I'm not interested so much in that side of things. Like, I don't think that I would want to apply for an Apple credit card or anything like that. What I'm interested is this activities-based kind of stuff where, because Mint is an interesting program. And I've used it in the past, but it always ends up being like just heavy-handed for me, where I don't need all the information that it provides. And then, yes, the way that they do make money is by giving offers for cards and things like that as part of the process. One of my favorite things about Apple is, well, I guess I should say modern Apple, is what they've done for the health records system. I have my health records plugged into Apple Health, and obviously I'm not going to show like the details of it, but it makes it so simple to track my medical allergies and see how that shows across the board. My vitals today, Micah. Here's my blood pressure. I don't care if you all know that. It's like having that information and in these beautiful graphs and available like at a split second is incredible. And in fact, I use it all the time, and it's much easier than these comma separated value documents that your different doctors and you know, psychologists and whomever else has across their systems. To have it all in one place has been very handy to see it really like made sense of whenever I go and, you know, you do like a blood panel test or what have you. Apple automatically pulls in like the value that you're supposed to be in and where yours lies along that line. It's so helpful. And if they could do that with finances, I would be totally on board with that. So
you're right. Like having it all there, having it clear when you go to a doctor and you're able to say, this is it. Like, it's not like you're not self-disclosing yourself, which is, we're not really good with, like, you know, talking ourselves of what we think we are. These are actual stats to that. If you could do that financially, go to your financial analyst and say, and it says like, these are the areas where I'm spending over where I should, could be hugely beneficial. And Apple does a great job. And I love the graphs, I have to say. Graphs are like exciting. Like, ooh.
And I trust, like, that's another reason why I ended up getting out of Mint too, is just because I don't really know this company very well. Right. And I feel weird about the way that it kind of does it's kind of like Gmail where it does the ads that are as part of the system or whatever. And I might be wrong about it, but I don't think I am. And I feel like a lot of people agree with me there. I don't feel as weird about logging in with those details and giving them to Apple to pull that information.
And as we found out, like Facebook could buy them tomorrow. We have no idea.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
And then they have everything you've given them. Yeah.
Does Amazon own Mint yet? Because I'm surprised if they don't.
Well, after this show, they will.
Darn it. You can't call those things into being, Micah. We've talked about this.
So Curtis Boyle in the YouTube chat, he asked, is Apple just providing the login security, like using Touch or Face ID for new cards and taking a little cut, or something else? So I just wanted to say, we know nothing. The only thing we know is that
nothing.
Yeah, the only thing we know is that there's information. I don't even know if you could say it's a rumor, but I
think a rumor is fair because
it's a rumor from the Wall Street Journal that Apple and Goldman Sachs, these are the words, plan to start issuing this spring a joint credit card paired with new iPhone features that will help users manage their money. That's how it's worded. So we know nothing about the details. And yeah, so even the analytics of it, we don't know. So we'll find out. Either it's not true or it'll just dissolve and not happen at all, or we'll find out this spring.
Yeah.
Sigh. Well, I think unless anyone has anything else they want to add to this, with it being just sort of this rumor mill kind of deal, it is interesting. I think our whole thing is, this is kind of a cool idea, particularly on the, like you said, the partnering side, or like on the side of just collaborating versus on the side of working together. And so hopefully Apple can do something there that's not super icky and predatory and
please, Hammer, don't hurt us.
Do it alone, Apple. Just do it alone.
Moving on to the next rumor, we've got the rumor that there could be a 31.6 inch. Can you tell me what the heck, Renee, 6K 3K means? What does that mean? 6K.
So we 3K? think. So this is Guo Mingqi, who's the analyst that has really good means of exfiltrating data from Apple's supply chain.
Can I pause really quick? I'm sorry. I thought you said really good memes, but I think you said memes.
Memes.
Yeah, he shows
the ability.
He shows delightful memes to the workers at all the stuff they're working on. Totally possible. Totally possible. I'm guessing it's cash, but I mean anything is possible. I say that. Anyways, so one of the 11 things he dumped in his rumor post, and we have a whole explainer on what he said, is that the new Mac Pro is coming, and the Pro display that's coming with it is this 30 plus inch, 31 inch. 6K by 3K, which would be 6,000 pixels by 3,000 pixels display. So 2.1, which is super interesting because that's the more or less the aspect ratio of the new iPhone and of all the vector videos this year. FYI, no connection. But it's really cool because the current iMacs are 5K. So this would be a whole extra K, times 3. And the rumor is it's going to use mini LED, which is not micro LED. I misspoke when I was originally talking about it. Mini LED, which just means that it has it's very bright, it's very beautiful. And yeah.
What's the difference between mini and micro?
Totally different technologies. They just happen to have very similar names.
That's not nice. That's not nice. For those with dyslexia, I'm sorry. Don't do that to us.
No.
Okay.
No. But it'll also probably be raw expensive, as the kids say.
raw expensive.
Oh no.
I think it's sort of I think the idea of it is definitely like that sort of pro level too. It's big. It's you know, bigger than what the average person would need, obviously. So you know, it being pricey, I think again it's sort of positioned as not meant for you and me.
It's
you know,
meant for people whose time is literally more valuable than their money, which is creative professionals.
Right, exactly. There are people out there who need a screen that big with that much resolution. You know, there are things
Are there though?
Yes,
I'm just going to say it. Are there?
Yeah, because there's people who they'll put their Final Cut there and they'll have a whole bunch of stuff on the side, and anything that can shave 3% off their workflows, they'll bring money in their pocket.
Fair enough for those that.
It's a small market, but
it's a small market. But I guess
it's like the Lamborghini. Nobody buys as many Lamborghinis as they buy Volkswagens. But you know, you make a couple that are sort of inspirational.
It's the status symbol.
Yeah, or the thing that the technology trickles down to into the consumer products.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interestingly, mini LED was proposed as a transitional technology between standard LED and micro LED. So micro, according to this document that I'm reading, it's a simpler structure that has better performance, but it is not very good at working for things like televisions or other super high refresh rate kind of deals.
Samsung's micro LED television at CES, not this year, but last year, in order to get 4K, I think they had to make it 120 inches.
Yes.
The pixels were real big.
Yeah. So, and you can also get a whole lot of, there aren't as many bad final components working with mini LED. With micro LED, it had quite a difference in yield whenever you got to the final design. So, interesting that this is sort of a transitional technology, but in the end is what we have right now and is better for what we have right now. A lot of people seem to be doing the one screen to rule them all kind of mode. I sometimes will see on Tumblr, or occasionally when I'm on YouTube, see the videos of people like showing new desk setups. And a lot of the modern designs seem to just have the one display. And I'm still a multi-display.
It sounded sad when you said that. I heard the sadness in your voice, Micah.
Could you hear it? I
really could hear the sadness to that. Like that was a little bit of a hurt. So you're a multi-display person, and you see that as better because
but you can pair this, Micah. You can pair this new display with the rumored new 16.5-inch MacBook Pro.
Well, here's the other thing is that along with being a multi-display person, I am a particular person to an annoying extent. And so there's nothing that I disliked more than when I had a, what were those? Thunderbolt display. And then I felt like I wanted more screen real estate. So I had a secondary display, but it wasn't because I couldn't afford 2 Thunderbolt displays. I don't like mismatched displays.
So mismatched in size, in resolution,
in anything.
Even if they were the same size screen, but they came with a different outline, that
might bother you.
Yeah,
okay, fair.
And so I have 2. Let's see what these are called. They are Dell that I'm working on from right now. Dell U2415 displays. They're the exact same size.
Ooh,
I mean, they're the same model.
Am I on one of the sides?
You all are on the left side. Everything's on the left side, but then I have my documents on the right side, along with the rundown for the show and those kinds of things. So chat is over here on the left. The video is here, and then let's say here, and then the camera.
If we're bad and you have to separate us, do you just put the window halfway across?
Yes, that's exactly what I do. So in fact, let me just put Georgia there on the right side, because I know we're going to talk about right to repair soon.
That'll be interesting.
Whoa, how is Georgia poking across my displays? Wow.
Very powerful. So you only need to get 2 of these, Micah. You just really need to save up, and you can get 2
that
of these.
That would be 12K by 3K. That'd be amazing. I don't know if they could. I don't know if they could drive it though.
That's what I was gonna say.
Oh, right. Yeah, you just need 2 computers to match the 2 displays.
I don't want all of that. And that's the other thing that I don't want huge. I seem to have always worked better with a multi-display setup, where each individual screen is not gigantic, but my brain kind of works with like, you've got one task and all the things you need on one side and one task and all the things you need on the other. And then that's good. I don't really need any more than that, but I see a lot of people now going to this one display mindset. And the problem that I have with it is, for me, it's never, I really think it's like, it's a mental thing where even if I did have the exact same number of pixels with one screen, because it's the same screen, there's something about that just doesn't click with the way that I work.
You need a piece of masking tape to go across the middle of your screen.
Exactly what I need to do.
That's true. Then you kind of have to.
I'll Photoshop each of my wallpapers that I have where it's just like there's a line in between.
Yeah. That way you're separating
I like that. Lori's already figured out the answer to this.
Lori,
she solved the problem.
You've solved it.
That's why we have Lori
now.
I'm a problem solver, not a problem maker.
Yeah, I'll make the problems. You can solve them for me. Thank you. Is there any more rumor goodness in the Mac Pro world?
Just the 16.5-inch MacBook Pro, which is super interesting, which is basically like a 15-inch without the bezels. So you get this you get the almost screen size of a 17-inch and the almost case size of a 15-inch, which is like what all of our products seem to be doing now.
So we're growing in screen, but staying almost the same in
the ratio.
In size,
You're increasing the screen to bezel ratio.
I've never liked bezels.
Which I think is great. What are the bezels for the most part, except for just.
Are they going to get rid of the webcam?
I mean, they might as well. How terrible it is.
Amen.
They're probably just going to put a notch up there.
No, I think it'd be like the iPad Pro, where there's just enough of a bezel because on bigger screens, not like the iPhone, there's just enough of a bezel to take in a terrible webcam.
Yeah, I guess they've got all that room.
Yeah.
Whereas with the iPhone, there's not as much. Gavin from the chat says that I should be made to work for a week with an ultra wide monitor. And I call that cruel and unusual punishment, and I do not accept.
Gavin's mean.
Yeah, Gavin, come on. What's the deal?
Why don't we add that I can pick what's going to be the screen behind it?
No, because you're going to put feet on my screen. I was talking to someone the other day, and I was like, so one of my friends, she's a therapist, and she helps people with their fears. And her favorite thing is to tease me about a thing that I hate very much.
You have two Georgias?
Yeah, I was talking about Georgia to someone else. Yeah, and I said, she even went so far one time to try to get me to hate my dog's feet. She is cruel, and I don't know how she does it.
Effortlessly, it seems.
Yeah, amen. Effortlessly, exactly right. How do you sleep at night? Well, with a pillow under my head, and so well.
With my feet on you.
Oh!
Gross.
All right, can we yell about right to repair?
We should, but there is actually one thing that I do want to note, and it comes up because of the feet thing. And this is super important. It won't take us that long. In fact, let me pull up my Twitter because I want to make sure that I get this right.
Is it a sock ad? Just because that would be.
It's iPod
fitting.
socks.
It should be. No, it's about an emoji thing that happened earlier this week, and I want to clear up some misconceptions about it. So there had been some stories going around that there was a new anti-LGBTQ emoji that had been, out in the wild, and people were using it. And that on its face is 900% false. There's not an anti-LGBTQ emoji out. What there is folks have recently run across a Unicode symbol called combining enclosing circle /. What the heck is that? Well, it's just a big circle with a slash through it. However, because of the clever way that Unicode can allow characters to be rendered, it drops all of the space that the character takes up. And so it essentially pops it over what the last character in the, in whatever text you've put in is. So it will overlay on top of something before it. So folks who are not great actors in society popped in the pride emoji flag, so the rainbow flag, and then used the combining and closing circle /, which of course shifted over the top of the pride flag, and so it looked like it was saying no to pride, or whatever you want to call it. then folks picked this up, different sites picked this up and ran with this concept of a new emoji that supposedly existed. And it is not a new emoji. It is an emoji combined with another Unicode symbol that makes for one symbol. So I was curious about how it would display with different emoji and in different places. So I use the foot emoji and then the combining and closing circle backslash. And so of course it said no feet. But I'm
just excited that he used the foot emoji there.
Right. I see steps.
You had to touch that foot emoji.
I did. Ew, no, I didn't think about that. You're right. Oh, Lori, darn it. Now I'm gonna have to use a stylus.
No, Micah can't have nice things.
This is why I can't have nice things. This is why I go to therapy. So in some places, the foot, or no, see, now I've got feet on the brain. Oh no, this is terrible.
Now you're touching your head.
Oh, that's the title. That's the title of the show, Feet on the Brain, or Micah has feet on the brain.
In some places it works where it covers up the character before it, and in some places it doesn't. I noticed that suddenly I stopped because people started tweeting, again, not great people, started tweeting at me with more of the anti-emoji flag,
really?
pride flag, and then someone tweeted at me with a woman with it over the top of her. Stop. But I recently turned on quality filtering on Twitter, and so those ended up all disappearing, which was nice. I was like, oh yeah, this quality filter actually does work. But anywho, my point is, if you see out there something with a slash over the top of it, chances are it's actually that combining and closing circle backslash Unicode character being used. And there are some fancy fun characters that basically have zero width properties, and so they can serve to cover over the top of other emoji. Or
when you say zero width property, does that mean that it has no, like, it doesn't have its own ability to exist in space, and that's why it overlays on to what was right before it?
Precisely. Okay. And in fact, that's how there is a zero width joiner Unicode symbol, and it essentially pushes, it's used to sort of cheat at emoji, because when you have the a foot and it's in a certain skin tone, you're not actually using just one character there. It is the base foot emoji in Simpsons yellow plus a symbol
That's the true color. I love that. I'm going to call it Simpsons yellow
now. Plus the Fitzpatrick scale patch. And so the Fitzpatrick scale is a skin tone scale that dermatologists use, but it's been, purposed here to talk about the different shades of skin tone. So when those two characters combine, with our powers combine, then it can make your foot in whatever color you want to make it. And there's a zero width joiner in between. There's that symbol that basically overlays them, but the computer can then read it out as whatever character you want it to be.
Nice. We just learned something. We learned two new things today from Micah. We learned about microsection and unicorn. Unicorn Unicode.
Unicorn zero width joiners. Now, before we move on to talk about conflict, I do want to stop for a second and tell you all about our pals at Eero. With Eero, you can build a Wi-Fi system that is perfectly tailored to your home. We've got a high bandwidth lifestyle, folks, and you need something that's going to give you the best speeds possible across your entire home. With Eero, you get to install an enterprise-grade Wi-Fi system. And I don't know if we're talking about the ship there or if we're talking about businesses, but it's enterprise-grade in either case in just a few minutes. Now, that is going to happen with the second generation Eero devices. There is the main Eero system, the router that has 3 5 gigahertz radios in it. So you're going to get speed and range across the whole deal, as well as Eero beacons, which are these tiny little devices that you plug into the wall across your home. And it helps you get that Wi-Fi to every nook and cranny inside your house. So you're going to have whole home blanketed Wi-Fi with the Eero system. Plus, and this was, I guess, pun intended, Eero has the Eero Plus system now. It gives you simple and reliable security so that you can essentially filter out malicious content. You can use powerful parental controls, and it's got built-in ad blocking functionality. So you can sort of do it at the router level as opposed to on your devices themselves. Plus, Eero Plus gives you this awesome ability to subscribe to things like 1Password, Malwarebytes, and VPN through encrypt.me. Now, I have an Eero system. Eero was kind enough to send one my way, and I've been using it for quite a while now. The main Eero with the 2 Eero beacons, and honestly, there's nothing. I think you know that a Wi-Fi router or Wi-Fi system is great when you don't really think about it. It's when you're thinking about it and you're having to reset the system all the time and that kind of deal that it's an issue. This was a set it and forget it kind of thing. It's fantastic. And I also just love that Eero Plus subscription service, which lets me give 1Password to family members, which is great. Instead of me just paying for my own, it pays for other people to have 1Password and that VPN encryption when I need it. So how are you going to go about checking out Eero? Well, you are going to never think about Wi-Fi again, like I just said, and get $100 off the Eero base unit and 2 beacons package. That's one I have in my home that I love and enjoy, plus a year of Eero Plus by going to eero.com/iMore and at checkout entering the code iMore. Once again, that's eero.com/iMore with the checkout code iMore to get $100 off that Eero and 2 beacons package and a year of Eero Plus. Thanks so much to Eero for sponsoring this week's episode of the iMore Show. Whew, let's talk about the right to repair.
Oh boy.
Oh, golly. If you're watching live, you just saw Georgia smirk and then look at Renee with just the scariest eyes in the world. And things are about to get ugly, I think.
So here's the thing. Like, a lot of the reporting on right to repair is a little bit wacky. So if you go by the...
Is it, Renee?
No,
is it wacky to just say we should be able to repair our devices?
No, hold on. Let me tell you what they reported. Because what they reported... Okay, so this is Vice. It's Motherlode.
Not all of it.
What they reported is right to repair might soon hit its first legislation and then take over North America, essentially. And that gets you excited because you're like, oh my God, right to repair is happening. Then you read down and it's like one independent resolution, which means someone from a party that does not have enough party members to actually have official party status has introduced a bill because his daughter shattered his Samsung phone and he couldn't get it repaired. And this is in the Ontario legislature. And they think that just the fact that this bill has been introduced, even though they say there is similar legislation pending everywhere else, is enough to justify the subheadline that it's really taking over.
Let's not talk about a article and how it is written. Okay. Why don't we actually talk about right to repair? Go for it, Renee.
Wait, hold on.
Sorry, I'm just giggling on this.
I do want to know what, like, I think that it was important to talk about the article simply because, like, that's the newsworthiness angle of this. Because we could talk about right to repair in every episode if we wanted to, because it's an ongoing thing. But was it this article? Because I haven't heard it. I didn't even know. Whenever I heard us propose talking about right to repair, I didn't know why we were talking about it necessarily in this episode.
Yeah, it's because of this article, and then it hit Reddit, and it became popular again. The subject came up again. But this, because it is a popular subject, and I think the people who cover it, they really, really like it. I think that's fine. But I think they just have to better set people's expectations when they write about it, that this is one bill in the Ontario legislature by someone who's not in the majority party in the Ontario legislature. And it's quite possible it'll get support, and it's quite possible it'll pass, and it's quite possible it'll become law. And Kyle Lyons had a really good point. He says that if it does become law anywhere in North America, the companies are much more likely to take it seriously because no one can afford to just do it in one province or in one state. Like if it's just Arizona or if it's just Ontario and you have to produce all this material or produce all these parts, you're much more likely to do it universally because it makes very little sense to do it in one place. So that I think is cool. I just think, like, if you're listening to this and think it's about to happen, I think it's the same as all the states that have proposed this legislature. We have to wait for it to actually pass before it's a thing. It's not a thing until it's a thing.
It's definitely, like Micah said, it's an ongoing discussion. It's an ongoing fight. It's an ongoing thing. In the US, not very long ago, there was a right to repair legislation passed that was, sort of similar to what you're saying. It's small and it didn't do a lot, but it's a step in the, and I'm going to say right direction, to allow consumers to have the right to repair.
Oh, I should add that this law proposes that companies have to produce manuals, like repair manuals for all their products, free of charge. Unless you want a printed copy, they get charged for printed copies if you ask for that. They also have to make sure that parts are available. It says at a fair price. That I think they're gonna have to do a lot of discussion around what is considered a fair price eventually. And also they say that they are going to have to do some things to ensure proprietary information, because some of the stuff is protected by patents or by trade secrets. And they don't want Samsung to be able to order their part the minute the phone comes out, or they don't want Apple to be able to order their part the minute the phone comes out. Well,
I think these are scare tactics. I can buy any number of tape recorders and VHSs and all those things, and there is a big open wide manual with all kinds of information about how I can fix
the part they're talking about specifically is like, if everyone has the right to buy a machine that re-encodes Touch ID or re-encodes Face ID, then it opens it up to like a bunch of people who steal iPhones re-encoding them, or the government who doesn't have a search warrant just getting the machine because they have a right to it and then getting through your Touch ID or your Face ID. So
but again, I think these are scare tactics. I don't think that's what's supposed to happen here. I think that when you start saying things like that, you're starting to kind of scare the general public into thinking this is a bad idea because now somebody's going to be able to hack into my phone.
Well, this was a politician saying it, though. I think he was recognizing that it's going to have to be a process before they come out with the eventual policy.
I completely agree with that. But it's certainly a bad idea to start kind of setting a tone for this kind of thing that sheds it in a negative light. Obviously, there's gonna be a need to make sure that all of our devices are still safe and secure. But I really don't. The right to repair community don't want the right to hack into their Touch ID. They want the right to not have to spend a fortune or have Apple ID or whatever other warranty in order to be able to fix things. Like, you should be able to replace the ring on it. You should be able to replace the little Touch ID scoop on it. They're not asking to be able to encode something different. They're just asking to be able to repair their device without it being broken under warranty now, which I know with Apple and iPhone and Apple products, you can't do anything to it without it breaking the warranty. For a long time, if it got rained on, your warranty was invalid because it got water in it.
If you got sweaty.
And it's just a matter of making it so that after I buy my product, that I have the right to repair it without it affecting my warranty under it. It's a very simple. Why are you
so close to this, Georgia? Why do you think Lori's so wrong?
Okay, let's go.
I really should have brought some tea so I could have sipped the tea.
No, Georgia's spilling all the tea.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're going Boston tea party here. Anyways, hopefully you know what I mean. But if not, you can tweet angry tweets at me.
I did a great sarcastic remark and you just ruined it.
I'm sorry. Okay. No, it was a great sarcastic remark, Renee.
Okay.
And a lot of people that have looked into technology have been the ones that have found out the bugs, the mistakes that were made, the testing. These being little tiny black boxes are much more dangerous for consumers than we know to that. And again, if we even talk about the Facebook bug, the FaceTime bug, that was found again by people looking into it and checking what's happening, what is the code and what's there. So it's definitely more protection to consumers than the other way around to that. So Renee, you go for it because I'm ready.
I didn't hear that part.
Lori's 100%, 1,000% right. I believe that it does not, again, there's only one reason that companies would not want you to be able to take a look and repair your own technology. One is it costs that you don't go to them and they pay nice exorbitant amounts and they like to pad their numbers to it. They often do a really poor job as well. They charge you a ton for that. They're able to do that because they're the only ones that can repair it. So there's a certain amount of that. It's also patriarchal. So we don't trust that you're going to be able to do this. You might damage it. You might create a bug. You might be doing something that's nefarious and evil. Trust us. We can take care of you to be able to deal with that. I also believe in tech autonomy. I believe that once you buy your technology, it is yours. It should, once I pay money for something, I don't want you sneaking in, spying on me, tracking me, or then telling me what I can and cannot do what I have already purchased. I feel the same way about art. I buy a painting from someone. If I want to destroy it, I should be able to destroy it. That's what purchasing something. I'm not leasing my phone. I've bought my phone. You want to have that control over it? Then lease me the phone at a much lower rate. And then that's yours then. If you want to do the no one can repair this, that's fine. But then don't charge me top dollar for something that is mine to be able to do with as I please, that I should be able to check out to make sure, as Micah does, what's this mic doing inside of this frame that I've just purchased to that? And what's happening with this? And I think that it's, all of the legislators are paid tons and tons of money, and there's only one reason to be able to do that, because they want to have control over what you're doing. And it's not just Apple. And I feel that way about it across the board to it.
So Lori, why is Georgia wrong and stupid for saying all that?
Georgia is 100% right for everything that she's just said. And to further it along even more, or actually I really want to solidify what right to repair is very specifically.
Yeah,
it's the right to repair your devices without the warranty being null and void for it. So there's a lot of people out there that are going to be thinking like, I don't ever have to repair my device, so I don't see the issue. I would never do it myself. I would take it in. It's not about the right to like mess with your device. It's about the right to mess with your device and not have your warranty be null because of it. So it's a big deal and a very nuanced little thing of like, just like what George is saying, 100% right, is that
I can't believe you guys are so mean to each other.
Is that I own this device, and if you say to me, because I can do whatever I want to my phone. I can pull off the screen. I can take out the speaker. I can do whatever I want to my phone. But the moment I try to tap into it at all, my warranty becomes void. So that if something else happened,
they have passed that. You can no longer void a warranty just because someone opens it up and does stuff to it.
Exactly, and that's because of such.
Was this the companies that Renee that said, out of the goodness of our hearts, we're going to now change that?
Yeah, they were totally sick of people who were getting, of other companies doing this to their customer. So I think it's the entire U.S. I'm not positive. It might vary state by state. Still, I'm not positive. But I think most of the places in the U.S. and Canada, you can no longer void warranty.
See, but only legislation is what's going to happen. No company is going to want to allow others into their tech, which I totally get. If I ran a company, I wouldn't want anyone to touch mine.
I'm pro-legislation. I want to legislate everything. I want to legislate Facebook. No, I do. I want to legislate Facebook. I want rights in the constitutions that protect everybody.
So my question for you is,
why do you hate legislation, Georgia?
Is as follows. So, because it's the same kind of thing when we talk about the right to repair, Lori, which you touched on there, where some people go, well, I take mine in to get it fixed, and so it's not a big deal for me. That's the same kind of mindset that a lot of people have with privacy protections. Well, I'm not doing anything that is wrong or bad, so I guess I don't really care about this.
I don't care that there's a camera in my house watching everything I do.
Right, because I'm not doing, and that's the wrong mindset for folks to have, because that's sort of what companies.
First, you should be doing something wrong. You should have some fun in your life.
Yeah,
I'm not doing anything wrong.
Enjoy yourself.
Sorry, that was good. Yeah.
But whether you are doing something wrong or not, like that's not the point. It's about advocating for that control that you should have. But my question is this: so. Well, I'm laying that out there to say that I definitely agree that the right to repair should exist in a pretty healthy way. But what if I am, what is toddler years? Like, is it
in my case, up to like 50.
2 to 4?
Sure. So I'm 4 years old and I bought a Fisher-Price fake phone, and I bang it up against something and I pull out all its internal parts. should I still have the right to take that in and say, oh, this is protected under warranty? So
if you break,
that's different. You're going down that wrong path. That's not what right to repair has to do.
That's a part that I don't get. I'm not like purposely being dense or obtuse here. Like genuinely, can you explain the difference between like what is allowed, what's not?
Lori,
Renee,
Lori, go for it. You were already. I could see that you.
You went for Micah's throat. It was amazing.
Take it. She was all in. Micah had to back down and go like, not being obtuse. It was a fair question, which I think for many people,
it is a fair question. It's absolutely a fair question.
They don't know, and that's where we end up with these debates.
So I don't have like the detailed information in front of me because again, we didn't know we were going to talk about right to repair before we got on this conversation. So I'm going to get a little bit of it wrong. So you can at me and tell me how to do it right or what the right is about it. But basically it's not that you have the right to break your phone and then take it in and say, well, it's broken now, you have to fix it. It's the ability to sort of just own what you have. Like if I took my phone into the Apple store and let's say I replaced the battery on my iPhone under right to repair, I still have my phone under warranty now, even though I replaced the battery myself. I didn't take it in and have it done. And then let's say there suddenly is this like weird thing on the screen that doesn't have anything to do with the battery. So when I take it into Apple under the right to repair, the warranty, let's say it does actually cover whatever this weird screen thing is. Let's say maybe it was a flaw or something in that run of phones. Then with me having the ability to open my phone and put a different battery in, I still get to have that screen issue fixed. That was, let's say, Apple's fault because of a flaw in the manufacturing. But without that, as soon as Apple looks at my phone, they go, "You opened it. We're not touching it. You're not under warranty anymore." So it's more like that sort of situation. There's never and that's where you definitely start to. And sorry, I jumped on that so fast. That's where you get into those false assumptions that people create of my desire to be able to repair my product. Therefore, means that when I break it, that I think that someone else should fix it, even though I was the one who went in and broke it. And it's definitely more of like a general ability to just get into your stuff and make changes to it without having to go through the official channels, which cost more money and are harder to get to. Apple, for example, there's not Apple stores everywhere. So if you cracked your screen, you took your phone into a third-party screen fixing store and they replaced it and put a new screen on it, and then you went to Apple because you had an actual battery issue, then Apple would say, well, somebody else put that screen on, so we're not fixing your battery because you let somebody else get into it. And that's where things get complicated, where right to repair makes it protects the consumer for sure.
And Curtis in the chat, I think that makes a good point about this. It would be like a car company like Ford not allowing others to do repairs, oil changes, or other things without voiding your warranty.
Which they tried.
If I couldn't go get an oil change wherever I wanted to, I would be annoyed.
Yeah, and Tesla, like again, is really proprietary with their things too, and they have tried to do exactly the same thing. It kind of reminds me of a long time ago when the Bible was in Latin. No one knew how to read it, and everyone said, "You know what? You have to come through us because we know better than you. We're going to make sure that we really take care of what's in this book. We don't want to bring it to the people. We want to make sure that we are the emissaries because it's truly better for you. This might be too much for you to be able to handle. And, it might also cause you extra stress that we don't need for you. So listen, give us money. We'll make sure that we've given you the proper way. We will totally take care of your souls. And we don't want this to be translated into other languages that you might be able to read."
And the printing press ruined it for everybody.
And they were really, really angry
Gutenberg.
about that. But then when people were ending up to do it, then people could end up being empowered and knowledgeable and understand and take care of it. But yes, it is true that the church was not too thrilled about this. Why? Because they lost control to that. And I think that we are in that illuminary stage of technology, of understanding that this is really important. This is going to be the future. And we all need to understand, know, and be able to take a look at what we are putting into our homes with our families and with our children.
So here's my last question on this. I looked at the time and I didn't realize that we've been talking for so long. my question, I was promised conflict here, and
Georgia hasn't let me say anything yet.
So yeah, I want to.
Renee and I have been fighting over this for how long have we been fighting? How long have we been fighting over this?
So the way I look at these things is always like, if let's say tomorrow I was made, or Lori was made, or Georgia was made chief right to repair officer at Apple, like what would that process look like? And that fascinates me. So I'm thinking like, and Georgia, like, we have argued, but I think she says a lot of really good points. Like a brand new iPhone comes out. Does right to repair mean that as Apple launches that new iPhone, they have to have parts available for it immediately? And they hold on.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So like right now, Apple can't meet supply at launch. So should they, and maybe they should, be forced to have half the parts available for repair immediately? Or maybe the law should be after a year, all the parts have to be plentiful because that's when the warranties expire. So you have, or maybe it should be 3 months. But like, there's all these little details. And like, yes, you can replace your own battery, but you have to, if you want to do like a screen replacements, anybody can do it. If you want to do lithium ion replacements, you have to have gone through this course that says, you know how to source and install lithium ion batteries properly, because they're a little bit more dangerous than screens. And I just think that there's a lot of details like that need to be worked out to get to a good process. And those are super interesting, but we have to go through those details.
So it's not a disagreement per se. It's just that you have questions.
Renee, and it does sound like, and I actually do kind of agree with you on this, that you're more worried about the way legislation is going to take care of it, and as opposed to, just the community taking care of it, like the tech community taking care of it. And that's like, when it comes to the government telling us how to do technology, the government doesn't understand technology.
The reputation is horrible. Like, look at the copyright laws. It's horrible. So I'd like to have like really good, like, and again, like I agree with all the principle of this. And I think George has convinced me of a lot of good ways to implement it. And I just want to go through the whole process and figure out all those ways and then state like a coherent, like, I think, or maybe like there's alternatives. Like, for some reason, this part is proprietary, then you have to provide it at cost to everybody to install. Like, they don't have to have the subcomponents, but you have to give them the package to install at cost. Or if you don't have them available, you have to, like, I think there's all these sort of cases that have to be covered by it.
Yep. I think if it gets done right, that might happen. It'll be a while. It's all just little bits and pieces until it finally becomes a big deal. But when you think about how long technology has existed in the form that it is now, it has not been very long. So the fact that we're kind of coming around to like making ways to protect consumers, Do you
remember you used to, in the very early days of cars, you had to have a mechanic in the car with you when you drove. It sounds ludicrous now, but I live
in Quebec. I actually kind of understand that.
Yeah, I mean, like these things. And now, like, and again, my father, who built his own cars for years, he would buy cars, repair them, and flip them. He opened up a Tesla, looked at it, shook his head, and walked away.
Oh, wow.
It's going to be super sloppy. And when we have our little space capsules, it's going to be even sloppy, messier. But I think we'll find our way through it.
Well, in the meantime, if you are wanting to avoid a slippy, sloppy mess and need help finding your way through building a website, then you should check out Wix.com. Wix is a great place for you to go to build a website. In fact, over 140 million people use Wix for their website, and you can start and publish your site for free. There are more than 500 templates available. You can change and customize anything you want. There are also included SEO tools, so you can get your search and rank spot on, Google, DuckDuckGo, etc. Things are optimized for your device. So whether someone's looking at your site on mobile or an iPad or a 6K, 3K display, Wix has you covered. It's going to look good on those devices. Everything is good to go there. And in fact, you can also use some other tools like a custom domain, so you can set up the proper website for you, email addresses, email marketing tools like newsletters and things like that, vouchers. It goes on and on and on. And Wix has a fantastic way to get started. In fact, we are working on a site for the iMore show through Wix. And one of the handiest features is what Wix calls ADI. It's artificial design intelligence. Basically, you answer a few questions about what you want your site to be. And then my favorite part, you upload your logo and it automatically pulls colors out of the logo to build a color theme for your site. What? That's awesome. And it did that in just minutes. So you can basically get a site up in minutes flat with the look and feel that you want. So you definitely got to check out Wix ADI. Now, if you are a person who likes to have a little bit more control of things, then Wix Code has you covered there because it lets you create your website without limits. You get to do your own coding right there on the site. You can build web applications and websites with all sorts of fun things if you want. Now, if you would like to get started today, which we think you do because it's a pretty doggone cool thing, then you can head to wix.com. That's wix.com/podcast. And guess what? That's going to get you 10% off. Once again, that is wix.com/podcast, not entering any sort of iMore thing there. Just go to wix.com/podcast. They'll take care of the rest of it for you. You can get a website up and running and then share it with us if you want to. So thanks so much to Wix for sponsoring this week's episode of the iMore Show. Let's round things out. I think, Georgia, you have previewed that you had a watch tip for us. What is your watch tip?
Just a tip.
Okay. So I'm really excited. So I have a watch. We gave my kids our old Apple Watches for when they're at home. They can't bring them to school. Anyway, so my husband, I use the little tiny wrap strap. What is this one called?
The Sport Loop.
I do this.
Sorry, the nylon loop, right? Sport Loop?
I think
nylon sport loop.
Nylon loop.
Yeah.
Both.
You're
both right. Anyway, so I love it. Anyway, so my husband, I didn't have my watch on for a little bit. He takes one of my old bands, gives it to my son. I'm like, fine. I go to put what I thought was my band onto my watch, but it was my husband's band. And I put it onto my small 38-inch watch.
Got it.
And it fits.
Really?
Oh.
Yes, baby. Yes.
Okay, so
stay away from me. Stay away from me.
Are toast. So it sticks out just a touch on both of the edges. Truly, it took me, I think, weeks to realize. I'm like, why doesn't this fit? So you have a little tiny, you got mini wings. You can see there's mini wings on the edges.
Not super aerodynamic, but
you know what? So you can actually share if you and your partner have different sized watches. Now, I haven't tried with all of them at Renee's house yet.
That's why he comes to you instead of you going over there.
I am a servant of the sacred fire. Wield of the flame of all. You shall not pass.
There's drilling going on.
So yeah, you can switch watch bands. I couldn't believe it. It fits. It is secure.
And it stays. That's what I was going to ask.
It is really secure. Like you're not getting that baby off. It is secure. I cannot at all move it. It is perfectly.
I wonder if the small works for the big.
Yeah, let's test that out right now.
What do you want to
find out. Let's see if you can fit the. Oh, I don't have the small one.
The small. Yeah, they both work. It's just the small one is a little bit too. Doesn't go all the way to the edges.
The nips
and the big one goes a little bit beyond.
So
it's lock mechanism is all the same.
You can steal my watch bands too. I have 5.
Yeah, I'll get right on that.
Renee just pulled a mic out.
That double tour will be mine.
Oh,
it's a nice band. Band.
Double tours are cool.
I don't. It wouldn't double tour though. I think because yours is
that totally into me.
It would be, exactly.
1.5 tour.
Yeah, that's how you'd have to tape it on. So I thought that everyone would be really as excited as I was when I realized it. Because at first I was like, oh, that's so weird. And then I thought,
it's got wings. I
thought I can take Renee's bands. That's what I got to say.
I mean, it's not aesthetically, it's not great. So,
I think it's absolutely you will not notice it. You will not notice it. I did not you have to really be detailed. Now, Lauren, you are look at Lauren. She's like, Georgia. But you have, if you're detail oriented, it might bother you. But the band is fabulous.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, when you're confronted with the dragon pile of bands that Renee has, and you're like, but I've only got this 38 in. You're not concerned about that.
It's like the Rock in what's it called, Layers of the Lost Ark. It's just.
It was actually one of my thoughts of getting a larger watch was that I could pinch bands. It was true. So.
Renee, don't let Georgia over to your house ever again, because all of your watch bands will be gone.
There's so much drilling happening here.
I know. So much drilling.
Yeah, it's true. Wait a second.
Steady grilling.
All righty. Well, folks, unless anybody has anything last minute they want to discuss, I think we've done it.
As long as Lori and George have apologized and agreed that we can move on from here, I think.
Was this one of those The View moments, is what you're saying?
I just don't want you guys to be mad at each other.
They were in so much
Georgia, I love you so much. I'm so glad we had this
for me, Lori. I'm so happy that we finally come to a conclusion.
I'm just filing my nails like Navarro.
That's it.
Oh boy. Well, while we've got the nail filing happening and the tears on our eyes, I want to thank everybody for listening to this week's episode and for joining us. This was a fun one. I had a good time, and I hope you all did too. I want to thank Jim Metzendorf, of course, for editing the show and making us sound great every week.
Thank you, Jim.
And Lori Gill, if people are looking to get in touch or follow you online, where can they do so?
They can find me on Twitter at Apaholic. That's APPAHOLIK. They can find me at Lori Gill at most of the other social things.
Excellent. Georgia Dow, what about you?
I'm kind of on Twitter at Georgia_Dow, kind of. Or Georgia at iMore.com.
Awesome. And of course, if you are dealing with conflict or depression, anxiety, emotional intelligence, Renee,
that's what Renee and I did before. We did our conflict resolution. We watched the DVD.
You watched the DVD.
We downloaded it.
She just told me she was right, and I had to show up.
Anxiety-videos.com. Check those out. Super helpful, super awesome. Renee Ritchie, what about you?
You can find me at Renee Ritchie on all the social things. You can see my videos at youtube.com/
you gotta be careful.
That really made
that sounded really rude.
Videos?
You cannot.
That's the Canadian joke about videos. Like a boot. It's like the boot of videos.
No, I don't think so, Renee. I don't think so.
I think
that everyone's eyes went.
Yeah, we all were like, what is he about to say?
All right, you can find my videos for all of you people who hate Canadians at youtube.com/Vector Show or imore.com/Vector.
Just sounded like a rude body part. Like
there we go.
Renee, I think you could say videos. I think that's okay.
Yeah.
You know what? Even that is too
close.
It's too close. The Americans hating on Canada, Georgia, but it's really a surprise.
Before we get into any more conflict, if you're looking for me online, you can find me at Micah Sargent on most social things, or you can head to chihuahua.coffee. That's CHIHUAHUA.coffee for links to the different things that I do. You can find all of our writing at different points over on iMore.com. We'll, of course, be back next week with more, but depending on when you're listening to this, I hope you have a great week or weekend. This has been The iMore Show.
Thank you. Yay. And thanks to everybody who hung out and chatted in the chat with us. We're paying attention, and we're glad that you're there and love having you chat with us. You come up with some great suggestions and ideas. So thank you. Keep that going.
Indeed.
We should all wear berets next.
We'll all wear berets.